On November 4th, 2025, 34-year-old Zoran Mamdani became mayor-elect of New York City, America's youngest big city mayor in over a century and first Muslim and South Asian to govern the nation's largest metropolis. But behind this historic political victory stands Uganda's most remarkable American immigrant success story. The Mamdani family, from Oscar-nominated filmmaker mother worth $5 million to Columbia University professor father, earning up to $300,000 annually to now a son governing 8 million New Yorkers, represents 3 generations of Ugandan excellence converting into American wealth, cultural influence, and political power that most immigrant families only imagine. This isn't typical rags-to-riches immigrant story. This is family that arrived in America already accomplished. Mira Nair with Academy Award nomination and international film acclaim. Mahmood Mamdani as celebrated African scholar, then built even greater success across decades. Their combined family fortune, conservatively estimated at $5 to $10 million, comes not from business or real estate speculation, but from cinema, academia, and now politics. Their properties span Manhattan to Uganda. Their influence extends from Cannes Film Festival to Columbia University classrooms to City Hall. And their story reveals how elite immigrant families navigate American success while maintaining radical politics that critique the very systems making them wealthy. Today, we're going deep inside the Mamdani family, following the money from Kampala to Columbia, faculty housing, from Salam Bombay to City Hall, from $5 million filmmaker fortune to mayor's salary, and examining every contradiction, asset, and income source that makes them Uganda's richest and most powerful American family. Stick around, because the reality of how they built and maintain wealth while preaching democratic socialism reveals truths about class, privilege, and American immigration that both their supporters and critics need to understand. The filmmaker's fortune, Mira Nair's $5 million empire. Estimated net worth, $5 million. Properties, Manhattan real estate, Uganda. Let's start with the money. Specifically, Mira Nair's estimated $5 million fortune that anchors the Mamdani family's wealth. Mira isn't Hollywood blockbuster director earning $20 million per film. She's independent filmmaker who prioritized artistic integrity over commercial calculation, yet still accumulated substantial wealth through 4 decades of critically acclaimed work that shaped how millions understand South Asian and African experiences. Her wealth began with Salam Bombay, her 1988 debut that earned Academy Award nomination for Best Foreign Language Film. That nomination, coming when Mira was just 30 years old, established her as significant filmmaker whose work could attract financing, festival attention, and distribution deals. The film, made for just $800,000, grossed over $2 million. Modest by Hollywood standards, but excellent return for independent film. More importantly, it launched a career that would generate millions through subsequent decades. But it all started when Mira, born in Bhubaneswar, India, came to Harvard University for education, studying sociology before pivoting to filmmaking at Harvard's film program. Her early documentary work led to feature filmmaking, with Salam Bombay representing culmination of years developing craft. The Oscar nomination changed everything. Suddenly, she had access to larger budgets, A-list actors, and international distribution that independent filmmakers struggled to secure. The wealth accumulation came through strategic career moves. Mississippi Masala, in 1991, starring Denzel Washington, brought mainstream American audience while maintaining artistic voice. The Perez Family, in 1995, though not critically successful, paid well. Kama Sutra, A Tale of Love, in 1996 expanded her international profile. But the real breakthrough came with Monsoon Wedding in 2001. Monsoon Wedding cost approximately $1.5 million to produce. It grossed over $30 million worldwide. Massive commercial success for independent film. More importantly, it won Golden Lion at Venice Film Festival, making Mira first woman director to receive that honor. The combination of critical acclaim and commercial success elevated her into rare territory. Independent filmmaker whose work consistently attracted both festival accolades and paying audiences. The income from successful films is substantial. Directors typically earn upfront fees plus percentage of profits. For Monsoon Wedding generating $30 million on tiny budget, Mira's back-end percentage likely exceeded $1 to $2 million. Her subsequent films, The Namesake, grossing $13 million, Queen of Katwe, distributed by Disney, and others, continued generating income through directing fees and profit participation. Beyond directing, Mira produces through her company Mirabai Films, capturing additional income from projects she produces but doesn't necessarily direct. She's received substantial grants from organizations including MacArthur Foundation, Guggenheim Fellowship, and others, grants that provide six-figure funding for projects while building prestige. Her films continue generating royalty income through streaming, international sales, and television licensing decades after initial release. The real estate portfolio amplifies wealth. In 2008, Mira purchased Manhattan Loft for $1.375 million. She sold it in 2019 for $1.45 million. Modest profit, but the property's current estimated value is $1.9 million, suggesting she sold before peak appreciation. Reports indicate she owns $2 million condo in Chelsea, though this varies across sources. She maintains properties in Uganda, including compound in Kampala, that allegedly gets listed on Airbnb for luxury rentals. Ironic detail given her son's political opposition to short-term rental platforms. The lifestyle $5 million enables includes international travel for film productions and festivals, properties in multiple countries to fund passion projects through her Maisha Film Lab in Uganda teaching East African filmmakers, and financial security that allows her to refuse commercial projects that don't align with artistic vision. When Warner Brothers offered her the fourth Harry Potter film, which would have paid millions, she turned it down to maintain independence. Only financially secure filmmaker can afford that choice. What makes Mira's $5 million particularly significant for understanding Mamdani family wealth is recognizing this represents wealth built through art, celebrating marginalized communities, and critiquing power structures. Salam Bombay portrayed street children. Monsoon Wedding explored Indian middle-class family tensions. Queen of Katwe followed Ugandan girl escaping poverty through chess. These weren't exploitative films. They were sensitive, artistically accomplished works. But they also generated millions for their creator, demonstrating that progressive art and personal wealth aren't mutually exclusive. From filmmaker millions to academic hundreds of thousands, the family's wealth continues through Mahmood Mamdani's decades at Columbia University. The professor's six-figure salary, Mahmood Mamdani's academic prestige. Estimated annual salary, $200,000 to $300,000. Position, Herbert Lehman. Professor of Government, Columbia University. While Mira's $5 million provides family's wealth foundation, Mahmood Mamdani's decades of six-figure academic salaries created steady income stream funding lifestyle and enabling investment in properties and savings. As Herbert Lehman Professor of Government at Columbia University, endowed-chair position representing academic peak, Mahmood likely earns between $100,000 and $300,000 annually, placing him among Columbia's highest-paid faculty. This isn't just salary. It's compensation package including generous pension contributions, excellent health insurance, Columbia subsidized faculty housing on Upper West Side worth tens of thousands annually in rent savings, research budgets, and sabbatical benefits that most American workers never access. Over 30-plus-year career at Columbia, earning conservatively $250,000 annually, that's over $7.5 million in gross salary alone, before considering inflation adjustments and salary increases throughout career. But it all started when Mahmood, born in India but raised in Uganda, pursued education taking him to University of Pittsburgh for PhD in government. His academic work focuses on African politics, post-colonial studies, and political violence. Subjects positioning him as progressive intellectual critic of Western imperialism while working at Western institution benefiting from that same imperialism. This tension isn't unique to Mahmood. Many leftist academics navigate similar contradictions, but it's worth noting. The wealth accumulation through academic career follows pattern different from Mira's entrepreneurial filmmaking. Mahmood's income is stable and predictable rather than project-based. He knows exactly what he'll earn annually, enabling long-term financial planning impossible for independent filmmakers. He maxed out tax-advantaged retirement accounts for decades, likely accumulating 1 to 2 million in retirement savings alone. He benefited from real estate appreciation through properties purchased decades ago when prices were fraction of current values. The book income supplements salary. His acclaimed works, including Citizen and Subject, Contemporary Africa and the Legacy of Late Colonialism, and Good Muslim, Bad Muslim, America, the Cold War, and the Roots of Terror, are widely assigned in universities globally. Academic books don't generate blockbuster royalties, but widely used textbooks can provide $5,000 to $10,000 annually in ongoing income for decades. Over career spanning multiple successful books, this adds substantial supplementary income. The speaking fees and consulting work further amplify earnings. Professors at Mahmood's level command $5,000 to $15,000 for keynote speeches at conferences, universities, and international institutions. He's consulted for organizations including United Nations, various African governments, and development agencies, work paying consulting rates that can reach hundreds of dollars hourly. These opportunities likely generate additional $50,000 to $100,000 annually beyond base salary. The Columbia housing benefit deserves emphasis. Faculty housing in Manhattan represents enormous financial advantage. Market rate apartments equivalent to Columbia. Housing costs $3,000 to $5,000 monthly or more. Columbia subsidizes this substantially, meaning the Mamdanis save perhaps $30,000 to $50,000 annually compared to market rate renters. Over decades, this compounds into hundreds of thousands in housing cost savings that enable wealth accumulation impossible for families paying full market rates. What makes Mahmood's academic career particularly significant for family wealth is how it provided stable foundation enabling Mira's riskier entrepreneurial filmmaking. When film projects didn't secure financing or took years to develop, Mahmood's steady Columbia salary paid bills and maintained families' comfortable lifestyle. This stability is invisible privilege, the safety net allowing one partner to take entrepreneurial risks because other partner provides reliable income. Before we continue examining Zoran's inheritance and political wealth, let me ask you something. Are you starting to understand how elite immigrant families build and preserve wealth across generations? If this deep dive is revealing truths mainstream coverage ignores, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's examine what Zoran inherited from this family fortune and how he's building his own wealth through politics. The son's modest wealth, Zoran's $200,000, net worth and political income, current net worth, $200,000 to $300,000. Forbes estimate, mayoral salary, $260,000 starting January 2026. Assets, 4 acres Uganda land, approximately $250,000. Minimal other holdings. Here's where the Mamdani family story gets interesting. Despite his parents' $5 to $10 million fortune, Zoran Mamdani's personal net worth is modest at approximately $200,000 to $300,000, according to Forbes' analysis of his financial disclosures. This isn't because he's secretly hiding wealth. It's because he genuinely hasn't accumulated substantial personal assets yet at age 34. His wealth consists primarily of 4 acres of undeveloped land in Uganda, worth approximately $250,000, likely inherited or gifted from family given his age and limited income history. Beyond that, he owns no New York real estate, lives in rent-stabilized apartment paying $2,250 monthly, substantial, but below market rate, owns no car, has minimal retirement savings under $2,000, and previously invested $10,000 in now-dissolved company called Paycheck that returned only half his investment. But it all started financially when Zoran became assemblyman in January 2021, finally securing stable substantial income of $142,000 annually. Prior to that, his income came from sporadic work on his mother's film sets, failed rap career as Young Cardamom, generating roughly $1,000 annually in royalties, and housing counselor position paying non-profit wages. These weren't lucrative years. He was genuinely not making much money in his 20s despite family wealth. The critical question nobody can definitively answer from public records is how much family support Zoran received during those uncertain years. Did his parents help with rent, health insurance, living expenses? The lack of documentation doesn't necessarily mean extensive support. Many families provide informal help without formal trusts. But it does mean we can't know whether his struggling 20s represented genuine financial precarity or cushioned experimentation enabled by family safety net. The assembly's salary of $142,000, while substantial, isn't wealth-building income in expensive New York. After taxes, approximately $40,000 in federal, state, and city taxes combined, Zoran nets roughly $100,000. His rent-stabilized apartment costs $27,000 annually. That leaves $73,000 for all other expenses: food, transportation, professional costs, savings. If he saves 25%, aggressive savings rate, that's $18,000 annually, or $72,000 over 4-year assembly term, consistent with his estimated $200,000 to $300,000 net worth when combined with Uganda land value. The mayoral salary changes his financial trajectory substantially. Starting January 2026, he'll earn approximately $260,000 annually, almost double assembly pay. After taxes, approximately $90,000, he'll net $170,000. Significant increase enabling much faster wealth accumulation if he maintains disciplined savings. Over 4-year mayoral term saving aggressively, he could accumulate another $200,000 to $300,000, potentially doubling his net worth by age 38. The rent-stabilized apartment remains a controversial element. Rent stabilization is intended to protect long-time tenants from market rate increases. But when high-income officials like Zoran benefit from below-market rates, it raises questions about fairness. His $2,250 rent saves him perhaps $20,000 annually compared to market rates, subsidy that compounds over years into substantial wealth advantage. What makes Zoran's modest personal wealth particularly fascinating is the contrast with his parents' fortune. He could have lived off family wealth without working. Many children of $5 million net worth parents do exactly that. Instead, he pursued housing counselor work, ran for office challenging establishment, and built independent income through politics. Whether this represents genuine rejection of inherited wealth or calculated decision to maintain working-class credibility, while knowing family safety net exists, remains debatable depending on one's perspective. From individual wealth to family properties, the Mamdani real estate empire spans Manhattan to Uganda, revealing how global wealthy families maintain wealth across continents. The global property portfolio, Manhattan to Uganda. Real estate, holdings. Manhattan properties, $2 million. Chelsea condo, Columbia housing subsidy. Uganda properties, Kampala compound, 4 acres undeveloped land. Estimated total real estate value, $3 to $4 million. The Mamdani family's wealth isn't just income, it's assets, particularly real estate spanning continents. This global property ownership creates complexity distinguishing truly wealthy families from high-income professionals. The Mamdanis maintain residences in world's most expensive city, New York, and properties in Uganda, diversifying assets across currencies and markets in ways working-class families never can. The Manhattan holdings begin with Mira's real estate purchases. In 2008, she bought loft in Manhattan for $1.375 million, timing shortly after Great Recession when prices were depressed. She sold in 2019 for $1.45 million, generating $75,000 profit. The property's current estimated value is $1.9 million, meaning she left $450,000 in appreciation on table by selling early. Reports from multiple sources indicate she owns $2 million condo in Chelsea, though exact details remain somewhat opaque across different reporting. The Columbia faculty housing where family has lived represents substantial non-cash benefit. Columbia-owned apartments on Upper West Side that faculty rent at subsidized rates would cost $3,000 to $5,000 monthly or more at market rates. The university subsidy saves family potentially $40,000 to $60,000 annually, benefit that compounds into hundreds of thousands over decades while also freeing up cash for investments elsewhere. But it all started with strategic real estate purchases when Mamdani first accumulated wealth. Buying Manhattan real estate in 2000s positioned them to benefit from New York's explosive property appreciation through 2010s and beyond. Even modest Manhattan properties purchased 20 years ago have doubled or tripled in value, creating wealth appreciation that passive investment in stocks rarely matches. The Uganda properties add complexity. Mira maintains compound in Kampala that serves multiple purposes: family home when visiting Uganda, headquarters for her Misha Film Lab nonprofit teaching East African filmmakers, and allegedly short-term rental property listed on Airbnb when family isn't using it. This last detail creates delicious irony. Zoran campaigns against Airbnb's impact on housing affordability, while his family allegedly profits from platform through Ugandan rental property. The 4 acres of undeveloped land in Uganda, worth approximately $250,000 that Zoran owns, likely came from family through inheritance or gift. Ugandan land values have appreciated as Kampala grows, making rural land holdings increasingly valuable investment. For wealthy Ugandans and diaspora families, maintaining Uganda land represents both financial investment and maintaining connection to homeland, tangible asset that appreciates while symbolizing ongoing ties. The global diversification matters financially. If Manhattan real estate crashes, Uganda properties retain value. If Ugandan shilling collapses, Manhattan holdings remain stable in dollars. Wealthy families maintain this international diversification, while working-class families struggle to afford single property in one country. This global asset distribution is an invisible marker of substantial wealth regardless of specific property values. What makes the Mamdani real estate portfolio significant is recognizing how property ownership creates wealth beyond income. Mahmood and Mira could have rented their entire lives, saving money in index funds. Instead, they bought Manhattan real estate that appreciated dramatically, generating wealth through asset appreciation rather than just salary savings. This real estate wealth represents perhaps 2 to 3 million of their $5 to $10 million net worth. Substantial portion of family fortune built through property ownership rather than just professional income. From properties to political contradictions, the final question becomes how family reconciles substantial wealth with Zoran's democratic socialist politics. The socialist contradiction: reconciling wealth with working-class politics. The core tension: family, worth $5 to $10 million while Zoran campaigns for working. The question: can wealthy socialists authentically represent poor? The Mamdani family story ultimately centers on contradiction. Their critics emphasize and supporters dismiss. How can son of $5 million filmmaker and 6-figure Columbia professor authentically represent working-class New Yorkers while proposing policies his family's wealth protects them from experiencing? This isn't just political talking point. It's genuine philosophical question about class, privilege, and whether personal experience of hardship is prerequisite for advocating policies addressing that hardship. Zoran campaigns on making buses free, freezing rents on million-plus apartments, building 200,000 affordable housing units, and raising minimum wage to $30 by 2030. These are radical proposals that would fundamentally reshape New York's economy. But he does so while living in rent-stabilized apartments, saving him $20,000 annually, benefiting from family wealth providing safety net most New Yorkers lack, and about to earn $260,000 annually as mayor, salary placing him in top 5% of American earners. But it all started with how Mamdani family navigated their own class position throughout Zoran's upbringing. They didn't flaunt wealth ostentatiously. No private schools, Zoran attended public Bronx Science. No mansions, Columbia housing is comfortable but not palatial. No excessive luxury. They maintained appearance of middle-class normalcy while accessing advantages that fundamentally separated them from actual working class. This is how elite progressive families reproduce privilege, not through crude displays, but through sophisticated cultivation of excellence that earns admission to elite institutions. The defense supporters offer emphasizes several points. First, personal wealth doesn't disqualify commitment to justice. Plenty of wealthy people genuinely support redistribution. FDR was wealthy. Bernie Sanders owns multiple homes. Second, Zoran's housing counselor work gave him direct exposure to working-class struggles, even if he didn't personally experience them. Third, his politics emerged despite privileged upbringing, suggesting genuine conviction rather than self-interest. Fourth, his campaign funding came from small donors, not wealthy backers, proving working-class voters trust him. The critique opponents raise emphasizes different concerns. First, Zoran never faced economic precarity. He always had family safety net cushioning any financial struggles. Second, his struggling artist years were cushioned experimentation, not desperate survival. Third, his parents' wealth and elite education provided invisible privileges that separate him fundamentally from constituents who truly struggle. Fourth, his proposals sound radical, but may not actually threaten elite power structures his family navigates comfortably. The philosophical question transcends Mamdani family specifically. Does representative democracy require lived experience of constituents' hardships, or can empathy and policy knowledge substitute? Can wealthy socialists implement redistribution effectively, or does class position inevitably compromise commitment when personal interests conflict with stated principles? History provides mixed evidence. Some wealthy reformers implemented genuine change, while others offered symbolic gestures protecting core privilege. What makes Mamdani contradiction particularly complex is recognizing the family's wealth isn't extreme by American standards. 5 to 10 million is comfortable professional class fortune, not billionaire excess. They're not oligarchs, but they're also not working class, despite Zoran's rhetoric. They occupy that ambiguous territory where income is high and wealth provides security but doesn't reach generational dynastic levels. This makes them neither rich nor poor, but something in between that complicates easy categorization. The next 4 years will test whether these contradictions matter. Can Zoran implement policies his family's class position protects them from needing? Will his administration serve working-class New Yorkers, or default to protecting professional class interests dressed in progressive rhetoric? Can someone who's never missed rent payment design housing policy, serving those who face that choice monthly? These aren't rhetorical questions. They're empirical tests that his governance will answer definitively. From Mira Nair's $5 million filmmaking fortune to Mahmood Mamdani's decades of six-figure Columbia salaries, from Oscar nominations to endowed professorships, from Manhattan lofts to Uganda compounds, from Zoran's modest $200,000 net worth to his upcoming $160,000 mayoral salary. The Mamdani family represents Uganda's most successful American immigrant story, while embodying contradictions that make them simultaneously inspiring success and controversial symbol of elite progressive politics. They built wealth through legitimate talent and hard work. Mira's acclaimed films, Mahmood's influential scholarship, Zoran's grassroots organizing. Nobody handed them success. But they also benefited from privileges invisible to those without elite education, family connections, and safety nets cushioning risk-taking. They critique capitalism and inequality while succeeding within systems they theoretically oppose. They propose radical redistribution while maintaining comfortable professional class position that shields them from experiencing policies they advocate. The question isn't whether Mamdanis are hypocrites. Most humans hold contradictory beliefs and positions. It's whether their specific contradictions, substantial family wealth combined with democratic socialist politics, ultimately serve working-class New Yorkers who elected Zoran, or whether they represent sophisticated version of elite power, maintaining dominance through progressive rhetoric that changes less than promised. The next 4 years governing New York will answer that question definitively. What do you think? Does the Mamdani family's wealth story inspire you as immigrant success or concern you as political contradiction? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the money and power behind political headlines.